Hello and welcome to the third video in my beginner scripting series. In this video, we're going to be going over if statements, for loops, repeat until loops, and while loops. Before we start this video, if you haven't seen my previous video about variables, scopes, and instances, I encourage you to watch it. Video link will be in the description.
Roll the intro.
Let's start with if statements. To explain if statements, I'm going to relate them to real-world events. Let's say you were hungry. If you were hungry, you should eat. Now let's say you would eat an apple if you were hungry. If you're hungry, then you'll eat the apple. If you're not hungry, you will not eat the apple. We can translate that into code using an if statement, as you can see here. If you are hungry, then eat. Now the end keyword closes the if statement. For loops work like so. It goes through all the code within the loop and loops back around until it has gone through the number of items it needs to before exiting. The loop can be forced to exit using the break keyword. While loops work like so. It runs the code inside the loop while the condition provided remains true, or until the break keyword is used within the loop. The repeat until loop repeats the code within the loop until the condition is met. It's a bit different from the while loop in that it doesn't do it while the condition is true, it does it until the condition is true. This can be broken similarly with the break keyword. Now what if we want to keep eating until we are full? Well, we want to keep eating while we are hungry and stop once we are no longer hungry. We would translate this into code using a while loop. Now for this example, I made an animation and I found an apple mesh from the toolbox. I created a rather basic animation system and we are ready to go. Let me know on our Discord server or down in the comments if you want to see a more advanced animation system made. To demonstrate the repeat until and while loops, I'm going to create a basic hunger system. To do this, I'll need a script and I will name it hunger. Alright, as with the last episode in this series, we want to define the services we will be using as variables. In this case, we will need the players service. When a player joins our game, we want to store a hunger variable within the player's player object. The hunger object will be a number value object named hunger. To start off, it will have a value of 0. Once again, it will be parented to the player. Once this is done, we want to wait around 3 seconds to make sure our clients have had enough time to load in the appropriate assets. Next, we will search the player's backpack for the tool named apple. We repeat this search until an apple is found. This is a prime example of the repeat until loop. Instead of searching for the player's backpack in each iteration of the repeat until loop, let's define a local variable before the repeat until loop for the backpack. We must make sure to provide a wait in the repeat until loop to prevent script exhaustion. Once the apple is found, we want to force the player to equip the apple. After the player has the apple equipped, we want to activate the tool for the player. We will continue with the apple's activation in a little bit. Now, we want to demonstrate the while loop. To do this, we will increment the hunger variable we stored in the player above. We want to add 1 to the hunger value each 10th of a second. We want to do this while the player's hunger value is less than 100. In other words, until the hunger value is 100. Once the hunger value is equal to 100, the while loop will exit and continue on to the rest of the code in the script. If the apple still exists after the while loop ends, we want to deactivate the apple. I already made the apple tool, so let's insert a local script into it so that we can add code into the apple. Again, we will define the services as variables. We will need the replicated storage and players services. The replicated storage will be used to interact with the animation system. The animation action event is important as that is how we will display and stop the animations for the apple. When the tool is activated, we want to play the animation. When it is deactivated, we want to stop the animation. We can do this with the activated and deactivated events. I have made a visual to help us with showing the hunger value, so let's paste the visual into Starter GUI. It already has the code in the GUI, however, I will quickly go over what the code does. We have got the players service and the tween service. Here we have got tween data, as well as the frame we'll be dealing with, and the hunger variable we defined on the server. Here, we animate a frame instance's size depending on how full we are, or how far along we are in our while loop in the server script. When the frame is filled up, we know the while loop is completed and we are moving on to other code within that script. To display the effectiveness of a for loop, I made a shopping list UI. So let's insert that UI real quick. Now, we need to add a local script so the shopping list will actually do something. This UI does not require player input, it is completely automatic. The only service we will need is the tween service for UI animation. we're going to define a start delay variable. This will be the delay before this script will make this UI visible again. Now, we define some tweening data and gather some important elements from the UI as variables. We will set a variable tween to nil to start off. Now, we want to demonstrate with the for loop. The best way to do this is with a table. In this case, it's a list of points. These points were determined through trial and error off camera. As you can see, there are 14 points. There are also 14 items on the shopping list. Alright, let's get into the loop. We want to wait the 14 seconds we defined in the start delay variable. Once that is done, we want to show the UI or make it visible. Next, we want to iterate through the table and cross out each element on the shopping list. Alright, let's go ahead and test this out. As you can see, the visual aid for the hunger is going up. This demonstrates how far along we are in our while loop. As you can see, the for loop is iterating through all the points and striking out each thing on the shopping list. Alright, what did we cover? Repeat until loops will loop through the code inside the loop until the condition is met. While loops will loop through the code while the condition is met. If statements will run code if a condition is met, but only once. And for loops will run a determined amount of times according to a fixed variable or a table or array. That's all for this tutorial. In the next video, we will talk about functions. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.